Tanzania is a country in Africa that still creates national parks. 1/4 of her land is protected. Despite the continent's ever-growing population, Tanzania's national parks are not just isolated collections of animals. They are wildlife in an African wilderness. Wild places, spectacular and natural, held in trust for the future. Tanzania national parks are the guardians of the planet's last great herds. From the peaks of Mount Kilimanjaro to the depths of Lake Tanganyika, national parks are working hard to preserve the most diverse ecosystems in Africa. By buying this video, you contribute directly to that cause. Now join us on safari as Tanzania National Parks, together with world-renowned filmmakers, brings you a series of award-winning films and takes you to Serengeti and beyond, to this Eden in Africa.
For centuries, lions, with their awesome size and power, have played a large part in human history, art, and folklore. We learn at an early age that the lion is king of the beasts, and that a group of lions is a pride. For many years, scientists have been wondering about those prides. Why, of all the wild cats in the world, is it only the lion that lives in groups? There do appear to be advantages in hunting together. There are advantages in sharing family duties. But there are also the tensions and conflicts that beset any social grouping. In unraveling the story, one thing has become clear. The males, for all their size and showiness, are more like consorts than kings. If lions can be called the crowned heads of the animal kingdom, then the enduring monarch is not the king, but the queen. The Serengeti National Park in Tanzania is famous for its concentrations of grazing animals. These mixed herds of wildebeest, zebra and antelope, some 2.5 million strong, in turn support Africa's largest population of lions. There are between 2,000 and 3,000 of these great cats in the Serengeti. They live in social groups that occupy a stable range of around 25 square miles. The adult males are outsiders who join a group of lionesses. They are unrelated to the females, and so are always a rather uncertain element in the makeup of the group. The females, on the other hand, are all born into the pride and form an association of mothers and daughters, grandmothers and aunts, all with their own offspring. The females have known each other most of their lives. They are the owners of the territory and provide the ongoing stability for the pride. It's obviously a successful system, but why did lions, uniquely among the world's 35 species of wild cats, evolve a social way of life? There are other big cats in the Serengeti. About 500 cheetah share the lion's domain, but they are completely solitary, except for occasional coalitions of males or groups of females with cubs. The woodlands and river valleys that fringe the plains are the haunt of another big cat. But here, the leopard leads a lonely and secretive life. The Serengeti National Park is over 5,000 square miles of plain, plateau, woodland and hill. Lion studies began here in 1966. Back then, the main concern was whether lions had any impact on the numbers of antelope. But the question of social grouping has engaged every scientist who has worked here. And over the years, they've put forward a number of ideas. The lions of the Serengeti and the nearby Ngorongoro crater are the best studied in the world, and it's taken over 20 years to unravel their story. The present lion project is headed by Doctors Craig Packer and Anne Pusey. To keep tabs on hundreds of lions ranging across 1,000 square miles, they have fitted some animals with radio collars, whose different signals can be picked up from 10 miles away. The collars do not bother the lions and are removed at the end of the study. Years of radio tracking have provided the researchers with an accurate picture of just how far and wide the lions roam, and the size of the pride territories. Today, Craig Packer and Anne Pusey are able to recognize over 300 individual lions. When the project started over 20 years ago, no one knew how to identify individuals on a long-term basis. Colored ear tags were tried, but they were soon chewed off. At that time, the only way to recognize individuals was by natural scars, broken teeth, or ear notches. Lions' ears, like a boxer's nose, are usually a measure of their life experience. Young animals are unblemished, older ones often ragged. And, of course, they constantly change, making identification uncertain. So the ID cards need to be constantly updated. Some lions do have very distinctive features, blind eyes or broken tails. But even the most frustrated scientist would never resort to selective amputation as a means of recognizing individuals. Clearly, a better method of identification was needed. Fortunately, it was discovered that every lion has a unique pattern of spots where its whiskers grow. These are easily visible with binoculars and differ in number and position on each lion. They are the equivalent of human fingerprints, and like fingerprints, are constant throughout life. Now that individuals could be positively identified year after year, research moved steadily forward. The first likely explanation for living in groups concerned hunting. By cooperating, it appeared that groups of lions were more successful than solitary hunters. They not only had a better chance of success, but they could also tackle larger animals, even buffalo, which a single lion could not hope to bring down. By hunting cooperatively, lions are more successful in catching animals. But there is a price to pay. Being part of a large group means that the food has to be shared. These two lionesses cooperated on the kill, but may soon have to share it with the rest of the pride who did nothing to help. So perhaps this was not such an important advantage. To test the cooperative hunting idea further, the researchers needed exact figures on the comparative feeding success of groups and single lions. They decided to follow the lions constantly, day and night. The lions of the Serengeti are mostly nocturnal. Using headlights would have affected their behavior. But in the light of a new technology, nighttime surveillance suddenly became possible. Night vision goggles, which boost available starlight to visible levels, enabled humans for the first time to study lions after dark. The researchers followed lions around the clock for 4 days and 4 nights at a time. It was exhausting work, but their efforts were soon to be rewarded, for the information from these observations would considerably undermine the cooperative hunting theory. Earlier research had concentrated on the daylight activities of lions. However, that had provided only half the story. Now the nighttime observations started to fill in the missing chapters.